Yo, yo, it's ODB from OLP. This is issue 95 of Mini Truckin Magazine, November 99. Mark Hicks's 93. Nissan Hardbody, of course, with graphics, Colorado custom wheels, rocking a topper. Really a classic rolling shot, it appears. This was the 12th cover with Colorado custom wheels. This was Lance's third cover credited. However, it was the first of those three, so it's his first cover with a solo credit as far as what the magazine tells us. The other two issues were issue 55, July 96. That was with Shaun Carlson, rest in peace. And issue 93, September 99. We just covered that one, and we did see that Mike Self was also credited with that. But again, technically, if, speaking, so to speak. So you see, again, this could have easily been a shot where it was taken where it wasn't rolling. We've discussed that in the past of this era, Photoshop and things like that. I guess there were tricks that they could do. I know, for instance, on Truckin, my buddy Paul and I have said this before, there's a cover, I'd have to find it. I think it's a Expedition where you're like, oh, that's a cool rolling shot, and then you can actually read the font on the tire. But again, if anybody happens to know, if they knew Mark or if Mark chimes in on this, was this a rolling shot or was it just, hey, it was parked and then they blurred things? Either way, it's pretty cool, but we like to have that back history. So again, you can see hardcore customs from coast to coast, Mini Truckin, and custom compacts on the cover. You see the rest of it there. And again, these classic Colorado custom wheels. When we had Bill Hancock on, we titled that one Billet Wheel History with Bill Hancock. Bill talked a lot about when they came out with the Hancocks. Those were, I believe, their best-selling wheel for a couple of years, if not longer. So we also see Coast to Coast Open House, California Spring Truck Jamboree, and Outlandish 99. So let's jump right in here. You got an inky wheel ad on the left. And let's take a look at the features. And we see a couple of the photos. Mark Hicks is 93, so we talked about that. There's the full shot. And I say that because if you look at where the truck is parked, the background, you kind of see that hill. It's really like in the same spot. So to me, my guess, and you can even see that little bit of brush kind of right there. And you can kind of see it right there. Now, again, it is just a guess, but then I also look at the road. Is it a windy road? What is it? And you can see the lines there. So it was, more than likely, it was sitting there. And again, that's no slight. I mean, to me, that's cool that they did that. But again, someone else can kind of chime in. You see the events, West Coast Customs Open House. Ironically enough, we just went through the Ryan Frigling House issue, the Forerunner issue. Now, you saw when I went to move this, I had I didn't mention this in the Forerunner issue, my original cover had ripped off some of these, obviously the way the staples were, some of these covers would end up coming off if you read these enough pretty easy, but I try to be pretty careful with them to keep them in good condition. Okay, the F.A.Q, which I use that acronym all the time in the business I'm in, F.A.Q, frequently asked questions. Lance, I'm looking back at some of my notes before I started this one today. He seemed to take aim at Street Trucks Mag. He goes in here, he talks about the history. When MT started in 89, it was a bi-monthly publication. Wait, only 6 issues per year from our custom hungry readers. Technically, though, you guys have learned, if you've watched all of these, it wasn't bi-monthly. It started out as the summer issue. It was actually quarterly, if you really break it down. And then, of course, they did get to bi-monthly, which any big publication typically starts off kind of like that. Over the past 8 years in monthly pubs, the book has never been larger than 100 pages, which was true. I also track the page count, and there's 99 in all of these recent issues. It does change a little bit from there. He does mention 16 pages will be added. And right here it says it leads us to our second topic. With added growth, we're starting to compete on a whole new level with other automotive titles. In the past, there was a distinct line between this magazine and other titles due to our lifestyle spin on the scene. There are several other magazines that cover the import racing scene. And you can kind of see what he goes on to say there if you're interested in it. It doesn't mean Mini Truckin doesn't love you or your trucks. It does mean, however, that we care for the trucks that we photograph, yada, yada, yada. So I did want to call that out because if we think about the time period, I mentioned this, August 99, street trucks was ramping up, and they come out of the gate swinging with mini truck features and stuff like that. So there you go. And just for the record, check out the computer. That's what we used to work on if you had a computer in that era. I think this is 20 some odd years ago. Crazy. So you start to see a little bit of change with Lance, being at the helm. You can see a little bit more color, Mini Truckin news inside and out. This is before we get to 2000, of course. Here is Changeling. So this was kind of a, what color is that anyways? This was in the era of like the chameleon paint. And ironically enough, if you listen to the Steve Platt interview, Steel Flame, depending on when you watch this, it's going to be episode, I think 323 maybe. But Steve Platt, he talks about how the chameleon paint may have tied into the Steel Flame Sonoma, the 99. But you got to listen to here if you want to hear that tie-in. Again, search OLP via pretty much any podcast app, or go to our website on how to for ways to listen. Here again, we see the Alter Images ad. We've had Steve Nielsen on before, and Steve was really expanding in that era. Here's Bill Thompson. He's been around a long time, kind of writing about car audio and stuff. So there's a few of these yellow Mazdas, and this one was awesome. I think the few that I can think of were badass. This is Aftershock Customs on the back. And you see the far side club logo. Real nice speaker box there, something pretty badass for that era. Billet grill. And this, maybe in hindsight, I wasn't the biggest fan of, but still a little bit different, and definitely not knocking it. For those that know, I've hinted at this, I did pick up a 90 Mazda B2300, and it has a Phantom grill on it. And I washed the truck the other day, and I just can't get enough of it. It's a lot of fun. So here is something kind of a throwback term, GPS. Navigation units, if you will. And I watched on Netflix, they have a short series where I think maybe 15, 20-minute episodes, but there's a series on technology. There's actually one on GPS, on how it came out in the 80s. And you really kind of grew in the 90s. And of course now, could you imagine going to a show with an atlas? That's what we used to do when we'd go to Show Fest. We'd literally have an atlas, kind of figuring out which way we want to cut through to save time. Talk about feeling old. So street scene, we talked about it before, but check this out. You have this Mark Rylance 86 GMC, super clean. Love the topper. Love the tweed. Love the speaker box. Those colors coming through there. And then this was Nathan Sargent's 94 Mazda. And you're going, wait, Mazda? Yeah, that was after the new body style. But here we go. So I talked about one of the most epic wheel ads of all time with Tim Parker's Isuzu. And then we recently saw this one in the last flip through. Courtney shot these photos, and this feature ended up running, as I mentioned, in street trucks. Once we get through all of these, I do intend to go through... I'm not going to commit to going through every street trucks, but I might commit to go through like some of the badass features. I mean, some of you guys haven't seen all of those early issues, and it's pretty awesome. So Assassinated, Sin City's newest Target, and if I remember correctly, those were the Arelli Assassins. And it's funny, I have not thought about those wheels in forever, and it's like I just see them and they pop in my head. Of course, the name of the feature definitely helped. And you can see there, boom, RA. Seeing the RA logo on this green Toyota reminds me of Joe Musso's famous Toyota. This one was always cool because, again, it's got some nice tweed. It's got billet there. And good stuff. Look, Joe Musso built the roll plan for this Toyota. And, yeah. This was wondering, Adam Hartley, maybe, was his name? I thought, was this one of Joe's other projects? But Joe Musso's Toyota, one of the baddest built. Here you have Tom Lutz. So Tom Lutz, that was tied to the magazine, right? That was my understanding. That was his Mozdog. And here you have Sheila Bratton, the Ranger. Again, if you like what we're doing here, leave a comment. It definitely helps us out. There was a tech article here, rocking rapid repairs, uncrunching your ride. EAI that started to become big in this area. And you can see some of their setups here. This is when the Sport Compact stuff was really blowing up. You can see their Accord kits. And that's what we had for a long time. You know, if you had electric valves, you had 4 momentary switches and a single or dual needle gauge, typically dual needle. Here's AIM Industries. So whether you love or hate them, they spent a lot of money in advertising, so they were going to share the love or show the love to their advertisers. Old FBI ad. Here is the cover truck. Now, we have shared video of this truck in the past, and this truck was badass. I remember when it came out. You can see there Lance was the photographer. The video I shared might have been West Coast Customs 99. I can't remember. But it was from Steve Nielsen at Ultra Images. This thing was just awesome. And you can see here, again, kind of going back to what I said a minute ago, you got a couple of probably single needle gauges, front, back, I would assume. And based upon where the truck is sitting, that's where I assume that they shot the cover shot and then maybe made it a rolling shot. Again, we don't know specifically, but that would be my guess based upon what was going on in that era. This thing was super sick. I don't know if it's still around. I get that question a lot in social media when I post a truck. You know, some of the guys will ask, hey, is this one still around? I don't know. Don't know what happened to it. If anybody wants to kind of chime in, where you have that intel. But suicide doors, graphics, topper, Colorado custom wheels, interior, clean engine bay, stereo, rag top. I mean, dude, checks all the boxes. Really killer truck. And riding around, here you have Tim Parker's Isuzu. Here is riding around. Again, it would have been cool to see a ride in the publication. That would have led to potentially people going out and obviously buying as many as they could, and that was good for sales from a sales perspective. So here's West Coast Customs. Ryan has been very clear that he started in the mini truck game, and he's reshared a video that we have of his Mazda back in the day. And you can see there's the 4Runner there on the Misc wheels. Just a year ago, folks were getting together at their current location to celebrate Alex Hu, aka Alex Anderson, his passing, which was a year ago. And Ryan, of course, did it big for his friend, and rest in peace, Alex Hu. I don't know how many of these we'll get through this year, but I'm going to keep the pedal stomped, y'all. Here was Jay Harper's Isuzu Pup. Super clean, and it's called Clean Cut. You can see there in the back, you got the Lowriders Solo Customs, or the hydraulics I meant. Cool color. Super nice. Super clean. More ads. That was good for the mag. 7th Annual Springtime Shindig. California Truck Jamboree 99. 99, guess who's back, like Dre said. And, yeah, there you go. You see, again, Ryan's truck was really, the SUV was hitting hard. Here's the look that kills. Shout out to Josh Ellis. Really revamped that truck. Ended up, you know, really making a splash now. Jeff Gaudette owns it. Tuck lugs. There you go. This truck was always dope, how they ran the graphics through the inside of the bed. You got the ladies. And then you got the totally polished right here Ford Ranger. And this was Dangerous Toys. If you guys remember, I went over this feature in Street Trucks. Go back and check those out on our channel. Pretty cool in the first issue. Body dropped mini full of attitude. So there you go, the GMC Sonoma. Here you have the merchandise, which I talked about recently. A panoramic view, so you could see tech article. Here is Dust 10 instead of S10. This was Dustin Shelley, I believe it was. How you pronounce it? How you pronounce the word? Extended cab, topper, phantom grille, good stuff. And back when these were the air tanks a lot of us had, you know, you could go to Walmart and buy an air tank. It's crazy how far the stuff has come. And you have the ultra platinum wheels, super clean. Lance shot it. Mike Self did the write-up. What's up? This always reminded me, I'm sure it wasn't taken, but at Showfest when we started going in Mississippi, they had a couple hotels like this in the back. This could have been Pigeon Forge. I don't know if you guys happen to know. But, you know, those are the old school kind of motels, hotel, motel, Holiday Inn, that that many of us were accustomed to staying at, you know, going to these shows. And I've said this before, appreciate you guys when you let these run all the way through, whether you're paying attention or not. It helps us. We are getting so close to being able to monetize. And for anybody that wonders why you want to monetize, it's kind of like, well, you know, it gives you a little bit more incentive to want to like make some good videos and stuff. This was kind of cool. It kind of shows a 20-inch billet with 30-inch series tires, 6,000 full cow style double graphics, 4-quarter fastback setup. Realizing you just made the competition cry, priceless. So a little spin off that famous MasterCard ad that they had in the late 90s. So Outlandish 99, summertime in Texas. Let's see if we see anything here. This famous S10 was awesome. We saw that around Showfest 2000. Thing was so clean. There's the Hardbody, the Dime, some nice trucks, of course. If you guys see anything in here, definitely make sure you comment. This truck would go on to, at the time, if I remember correctly, we're going to get to, in 2000, the first severed truck on the cover. This truck technically came before that, but he was not in severed at that time. This guy ended up becoming severed. I rode in his full size at Showfest back in the day. And super, super badass truck. Shaved body line, pretty badass. This, again, I always remember as the Texas NC truck, if I remember correctly. That color was awesome. I remember that from their old website. And we saw this at Scraping the Coast a few years ago. Same guy. Thing's been around a long time. And this ties into the custom compacts. Again, trying to cater to the scene. Sport compacts. Obsession. And that was Jason, Knauff, Spokane, Washington. And the one thing I really, you know, not only did I love these things being low, but it always looked pretty cool when they'd shave the rear ends of the cars. Whether they left, like in this one with the taillights or what, it didn't matter. It always looked pretty clean. Another ad. More ads. And then boom, here's Mini Truckin graffiti. So this was always cool. Again, I think this was a Lance touch, if I remember correctly. It started right when he was coming around. We see Tuck Lugs. And it just was a culmination of all kinds of different stuff, kind of the lifestyle, if you will. Severed, New York. Shout out to those, my brothers up there. And the MIC ad. Very similar, but I tell you what, that's a nice ad for the day. It was badass. Bobby Billiard, of course, with the famous S10. So there you go. This is November 99. Appreciate all the support, y'all. Stay on the rise. We'll keep doing it. Shout out to Colorado Custom Wheels, the best in the game. We got you. Peace.